welcome back to the Kiwi Wedding Podcast. My name is Lydia. I'm a wedding photographer at Lydia Rachel Photography and your host. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying the silly season. Happy December. I can't believe we're here already. This year has actually flown by. I know everyone says that, but this one really just feels like it went so quick. Today I'm sharing with you a special episode that has been kind of sitting on the back burner for a while for no major reason, but a bit of back-end admin. I actually recorded this with the lovely Emily back in April 2024. So it's been a while, which is crazy. And we had this chat. I actually know Emily. She works for the incredible Little Wolf Catering. Have worked with them a lot and they're just amazing at what they do. But yeah, I had this chat with Em and then she ended up going on maternity leave and having her beautiful little baby and some time off, and I hadn't got her wedding photos from her, and it just kind of sat there while I got through a bunch of other recordings and yeah, doing a bit of end of year admin, to be honest. And this is still a great chat. There's no reason not to share it, so it's a little delayed, but I wanted you to hear it because there are some really good nuggets in this one. Emily did get married back in 2021, so yeah, you'll hear her reference that time period and how budgets have definitely changed since then. But yeah, we go into her love story, and working in the industry, she definitely had a step up on planning her wedding and knowing what vendors were amazing to work with, having been involved in helping plan many weddings herself. Obviously, food was a very important part of their day, as well as just putting on an amazing time for all their guests and enjoying the party. We hear all the details and a little behind the scenes vendor insight for you too. So I hope you enjoy it. Sorry it's been so long, Emily. And if you're looking for some incredible catering, I've eaten their food many times. It is the best. Little Wolf in Auckland. I'm not actually sure how far they travel. Let's say Upper North Island. They are amazing. The whole team there is so lovely and will look after you super well. So I'll link all the details and all Emily's wedding vendors, and go over to Instagram to check out some photos as well. Enjoy episode 124 with Emily. Hi Emily, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast with me today. Excited to chat all about your wedding.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
So to get started with, if you could just tell me a bit about you and your partner, how you guys met, and yeah, your life together.
So we met 2018 through mutual friends. Yeah, we sort of started dating shortly afterwards. Yeah, we live on the Hibiscus Coast by the beach, which is really nice. And we're just currently renovating our first home up here, which is super exciting.
Oh, so good. And you actually work in the wedding industry as well for Little Wolf. Can you tell us a little quick bit about your role there?
Yeah, definitely. So I work for Little Wolf Catering. We're primarily a catering company. We do weddings throughout wedding season is our busiest time, but then we also do lots of corporates. I started with the company as a wedding coordinator, so I've sort of done weddings from the get-go, which has been amazing, seen so much, helped me plan my own. But yeah, it's definitely been a good job for sure.
Yeah, super helpful having that insight when you're planning your own as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So you guys dated for a while and then got engaged. Can you tell me a bit about your proposal story?
So we were only together for I think 2 years, and then Leo proposed in 2020. So pretty early on in our relationship, I thought, but I suppose when you know, you know. We went down to the Coromandel to his family batch, and we decided to do the Pinnacles hike that's up there. Climbed to the top, he proposed. That was such a surprise, had no idea it was coming. And then, yeah, we came back down and he got like a bottle of champagne. We had it in the car park. It was all pretty cool. And then, yeah, kind of just started the wedding planning straight away, I suppose.
Yeah, oh, so good. Love that you got the surprise factor as well. Wasn't suspecting. You had been obviously seen a lot of weddings and been involved in them. So, did you have quite a specific vision in mind for your own or sort of style of what you wanted? And yeah, what were those first steps with planning, finding a venue, all of that?
Yeah, I think the wedding planning process came super naturally to me, obviously. I'd planned so many before for other people, plus friends, and I just knew sort of exactly how everything was going to run sort of on the day. I think our main priorities, because we did have sort of a short engagement, is that we wanted it to be central to Auckland. So we were engaged in September 2020, and then we got married in April 21. So we sort of had about 6 months-ish to plan, which isn't really that long, but it's also not that short. I think the tricky part is trying to find a venue within that short amount of time, and then obviously trying to find all those vendors that you really want to have. And or I had built really good relationships with, so many vendors throughout my time working in the industry, so I kind of knew who we wanted. I mean, Leo had no idea who and what was going on, so he kind of just left it all up to me, which I was fine with. Yeah, so I think we set it on the Glasshouse, which was in Morningside, which I know you already know it, and your listeners probably do as well. But it's just a beautiful venue. You don't really have to do too much to it. In April, the trees were still like full of life and really lush. We had Little Wolf actually cater, which was amazing. A huge like priority for us was the food, but then also just being able to treat all of our guests. I think having all of your friends and family in one place all together is like just such a rare thing. So to be able to treat everybody and have really good food and wine, and just a really special evening was super important to us.
Yeah, the Glass House is a beautiful spot, and yeah, definitely one of my favorites because the weather can be so temperamental in New Zealand, but it's like a beautiful space filled with natural light and lots of greenery and plants, so it feels very outdoorsy but works in any weather. So yeah, definitely a fave. And yeah, you touched on a few things there, but what were the most important elements? Yeah, your sort of top priorities for the day.
Yeah, I think definitely just being able to sort of treat everybody. I think like through food and through wine, like that was quite a big factor for us. It was where a lot of our money went into, but also obviously having a photographer and videographer was super important as well. We really wanted to make sure that everything was captured, and Jesse did an amazing job of that. We had them do our video as well, so it just all really sort of co-aligned together really nicely when we got the final results. I think, yeah, really just sort of those two were the top, I suppose. I think they were the most expensive, which is why, they're always going to be the most like, important thing. But at the same time, it's also all those finer details as well. Like florals was super important to me, not really to Leo, but to me. And I just sort of threw my ideas at Sue from Floral Stylist, and I knew and trusted her completely. So I just said, "Here's a few photos. Just do what you do. I love what you do, so just do whatever." And she just absolutely knocked it out of the park. Like it was just perfect.
So talented, super helpful knowing
Yeah.
some vendors to work with. Nice. And can you tell me about your wedding outfits, your dress? How was that process, finding it, getting it made? Yeah.
Yeah, so I went for a custom gown through Kenny and Harlow. I didn't really know like where to look for wedding dresses. Like obviously being in the industry, like that's an area that you just don't really explore. You don't really help couples do that. It's such a personal thing. I didn't really have any friends that had gotten married or had been to like any dress try-ons, or just I'd never really done that with anybody. I think we were the first out of our friend group to actually get married. So I hadn't been through that process. So I was just going in completely blind, and I think I just jumped online and I was like, oh, I kind of like this, I kind of like that. Cool, I'll just go and see this, one bridal shop, and went there. And yeah, I mean, it's a weird one because you kind of don't go and try on like a whole range of different dresses and just decide then and there what you want. I think getting a custom gown, you kind of have to try on a few different dresses, but then envision what it's going to look like without actually kind of knowing exactly what it's going to look like. So that was kind of a bit of it wasn't like daunting. It was more just like the unknown. Like you can see pictures and you can see a drawing and, the designer is amazing at what they do, but you just have to, again, just put your whole trust into this like crazy expensive purchase. Which it was obviously. But yeah, so I ended up doing quite a few fittings actually, because I think with the 6 months, I had to get quite a lot of fittings quite quickly. And she just sort of like bumped me to the front of the line to try and get everything. I think I must have picked up the final dress like 2 or 3 days before the wedding. So it was quite a tight turnaround, but absolutely stunning. Just like having a custom gown and for something to be perfectly fitting and tailored to you, it's just like, it's such an unreal experience that you probably only have once in your life. So yeah, that was super, super special. And Leo had a tuxedo from Crane Brothers. He's a builder, so he's never worn a suit. I don't even think he owns like a suit. So for him to have a custom suit was pretty amazing. For him to also go through that process as well. I didn't go with him, so I didn't really know what he was getting. But for him to also go through that process as a builder, it's such a bizarre, but again, like an exciting experience to do. So yeah, I think he was very, very happy about that.
Oh, so good. You guys looked gorgeous on the day. So yeah, it's definitely a bit of like putting your trust in the designers when you get custom, and especially with that tight, like there's not much you can change a few days before your wedding. But yeah, I guess if you
Exactly.
choose someone who's got amazing work, then it's going to turn out great. So glad that it did. Did you guys have a bridal party? And if so, how was that process? Was that easy choosing them?
Yeah, we didn't actually have bridal party. We decided that we'd just have us. Wasn't really any reason why we did or why we didn't. I think we just both kind of initially thought like this is kind of our day. We want to spend as much time just the two of us together when we can. But then also we wanted to then have a group of friends on each of our sides to just get ready with us in the morning, which was super nice. But I think it just kind of didn't add to the pressure of having a bridal party and trying to figure out what everyone was going to wear. And, I think within the short planning time, there was enough to think about, and adding additional things like colors for bridesmaids and all that sort of stuff was just like, I just thought, nah, let's not.
So good. It does just add like another big part of the planning when, yeah, you have to organize everything for the bridal party as well. But I am hearing more and more of people not having one or having a smaller one, and then just like incorporating their friends into other parts of the day, like getting ready together or, yeah, hanging out together at some point. So, yeah, it's a good way to do
Mm,
it. I love that.
mm.
How about the guest list? Did you find that quite difficult to narrow that down?
Yeah, I think that was pretty easy for us. We kind of have even numbers of friends. So we had about just under 70 guests. We were in the middle of COVID lockdown. So I think there was a lockdown before our wedding, and then there was one like just slightly after. So borders were closed. So all of our overseas guests, which is quite a lot on my side, and actually quite a lot on Leo's side as well, meant that we couldn't have any of them, which obviously was sad. But in hindsight, our wedding could have been double the size if it was going to be the other way. But I think that, yeah, we must have had just under 70 guests.
I feel like that's a nice amount, though. You can still kind of get around and chat to everyone and not feel too overwhelmed on the day. Yeah, rough time. Like, so lucky that you kind of got in that window between lockdowns and all the restrictions that came along with weddings as well. Can you tell us a bit about the big day from what you can remember? How did it all go? And yeah, any like highlights or favorite moments?
Obviously, I remember the wedding. I mean,
Yeah.
it was still a long time ago, but I think I just remember the morning being like so long. So Leo and I got ready separately, separate houses and whatnot, did that whole thing. And I think our makeup artist came at like, I don't know, 7 a.m. or no, maybe even later, maybe 8 a.m. But we had a 3 p.m. ceremony. And I remember just like sort of thinking afterwards, I wish that our ceremony was earlier because the time between getting my makeup done and like my mum and my sister and friends getting their makeup done, whatnot, and then to actually like walking down the aisle was such a long time. Like it feels like it was just, I don't know, sometimes I was just like twiddling my thumbs, like, what am I supposed to be doing? Like, I'm just kind of here in my own thoughts. Like, you're chatting away, but at the end of the day, like, all you want to do is get married and like you've thrown this amazing huge party, and all I wanted to do was just like see everything. I wanted to see the flowers. I wanted to like, see like everything set up. I was so keen to just kind of like get there. So I don't know, I kind of wish that we had longer, I suppose. And I think with the glass house that we did have a curfew of midnight, which isn't unusual. And I'm glad there was a curfew because it could have gone on for so much longer. But at the same time, I kind of just wish we had longer in the day to enjoy it a bit more.
Yeah, nice. How did the day go from there? So a bit of like it's always nice having that buffer time, I guess, but then it's a fine balance of too much time. So yeah, headed off to the
Totally.
ceremony eventually. And then how did the rest of the day go?
So then we had our ceremony. Then we had like maybe an hour or so just doing photos and then hanging out with friends and family, especially like our grandparents, because I think before it kind of got like a bit crazy into the partying time, it was nice to actually have a bit of time with them and sit down and catch up with them. Both of our grandparents actually live not in Auckland, so we don't see them that often. So that was super nice. But then Leo and I just went down the road to get our photos together. So that was really nice. Instead of having a bridal party, it was just the two of us. So it was, an hour and a half to 2 hours that we kind of got. Actually, no, I think it was an hour. It definitely wasn't longer than an hour. I think that was like my one thing. I was like, I don't want to be gone for too long. I
Mm.
just want to be gone, but like I want some time, just Leo and I. So that was nice. So we, yeah, had about an hour together. We just got our photos taken at the Convent Hotel just down the road. Had some drinks there with our photographer and our videographer. So it was really, really cool. It was sort of just the four of us. And then we shot back to the glass house and then settled in for dinner, which was a shared table, like Italian sort of feast, which just had like lots of food kind of rolling and coming out throughout the night, which was cool. And then, yeah, sort of espresso martinis during speeches, and then it was party on.
So good. So many good memories. And was there anything that you found difficult about the wedding planning process or anything you look back on and regret or would do a bit differently?
I don't think there was anything I regret. I think just sort of being in the industry, I kind of knew exactly in a way how I wanted everything to kind of run,
Mm.
I suppose. And I don't think there was anything that necessarily was regretful in the day. I think maybe in the morning, Leo and a couple of his friends were kind of running around doing a few little errands, which wasn't even that much. It was just dropping like alcohol off to the venue and like a few little things like that. But I think in hindsight, maybe I just wouldn't have given him those jobs. Maybe I should have given those to somebody else because I feel like I was like, cool, I've done all this like planning here. You just have to do these like two things. But actually, like it just turned into a bit of a mare. Like his friend's car that he was taking broke down. So it was just like, yeah, a few things after another.
Oh, it all went pretty well though. It's so helpful. That's like a big part of it being in the industry, not even necessarily knowing like all the specific little aesthetic details you want, but the actual like logistics and timing of a day and how to make it like flow well and yeah, leave enough time for everything. So I think, yeah, would have been so helpful having that background.
Definitely. And I think that's like what's important for like couples, or I suppose in terms of like having either someone who knows kind of that sort of side of things, whether it is like someone from your like catering company that kind of like has done so many events and so many weddings that knows how that runs, or whether you've got a wedding planner for the day but then also like a central point of contact. So that's so many people, if you've got multiple moving parts with lots of vendors, that they're able to have that one point of contact that's not you. I mean, a lot of people use their MC as well, but half the time the MC has to ask the bride and groom. So it's kind of like you just need someone that can just make those like split decisions for you.
Such good advice, so helpful. And yeah, you don't want to be pestered so much on your day or having to organize all those little things or your family members to do it even as well. So if you can use a vendor or planner or something for that, then that's super helpful.
Totally.
And did you guys have a budget, if you're happy to talk about what you spent, even like a ballpark figure, or like how you went with that? Did you go over? Was it more than you expected?
Yeah, I think we were around like 50 to 60, which I think is pretty standard for a wedding. I don't know, that was 3 years ago, so I don't even know. Like, I know that prices have gone up. I know that, yeah, everything has gone up. So, but yeah, so when we got married, I think our budget was around 50, and I think we ended up coming out like around just under 60. But yeah, definitely no regrets for anything. Every like dollar was well worth spent. And as I said earlier, like the major parts were the most important and the big costs. But again, yeah, most important things to us.
Yeah, I think that's such a key piece to just figure out your like top three things maybe, and that's what you invest in more, and you can sort of save in other areas. But yeah, you have your priorities that are like, yeah, probably going to be your big spend things that are most important. So that's a good way to do it. And did you guys go on honeymoon straight away? I don't know if you could travel then, but did you end up doing anything, or what did planning that look like?
No, we couldn't go anywhere apart from, I think, yeah, there was a lockdown like just after we got back. Mate, I can't remember the dates. It was just so long ago. But I know that just after we got married, there was a lockdown. I think we managed to sneak away to the Coromandel for like 3 or 4 nights. So we just spent a couple days there decompressing, having some time off from work. But then, yeah, I think there was a lockdown like straight after. And yeah, we basically just kind of ease back into normal life, I suppose. We yeah, and then we sort of had our like Europe trip last year, which was supposed to be like our honeymoon, just 3 years later.
Oh, nice. Just have something else to look forward to, eh? The
Yeah,
world's finally
exactly.
opened up.
Yeah.
Nice to just get away, even somewhere local straight after, though, not to jump straight back into work. Just have a few chill days to, yeah, just be the two of you and, yeah, like you said, decompress from it all. Were there any helpful resources or websites, different things, if you can remember, that you used during the planning process? I guess you would have had a lot of the vendor contacts already, but yeah, is there anything else you used?
To be honest, no, I don't think I used anything. I honestly just think through knowing people and like building those relationships initially through the industry was like the main thing to help sort of plan everything. There wasn't really any kind of directories or anything that I used. But those things can be so helpful for people that are fresh into the whole wedding planning process, which can be so daunting. I know that it's like a stressful thing for many people, but yeah, no, I think I just kind of was able to go off, recommendations or first-hand experience of people that we had used.
Is there any advice that you would give to couples planning their wedding at the moment, maybe both from a bride's perspective and then someone working in the industry as well?
I maybe think going back on to what I said earlier about just having that point of contact, I think I've noticed it a lot at weddings, to be able to have that one person that is sort of your point of contact for all the vendors, because you can kind of sometimes seem like you're the one that knows what's going on, but actually you only know so much. And yeah, I think for the bride and groom, some of them want to be invested in every little part and they really want to just know what's going on. But I think at the end of the day, like you kind of just want to be enjoying it. So yeah, having like a planner or someone, even if it's like someone in your bridal party, but usually those people, are only so good until they haven't had too many drinks, and then who makes the decisions?
Yeah, yeah, such a key piece. I think like if you can get it even on the day coordinator, if you don't want like the full planning package, yeah, it's like going to so many weddings. It's so helpful when there is that person, and yeah, you'd kind of leave the bride and groom or the couple alone. So
Mm,
that's great advice. Is there anything else you would say?
I don't think so. I was going to be really biased and say that, food's really important. People remember the food,
Yeah, you can say that.
which is actually so true. But yeah, I think that is like, there's a reason why catering is so expensive, I think, as well. It's a big operation, especially to bring in all the equipment, but then to have your guests so well looked after, for the entire night, is obviously another big cost, but people remember it for sure. So yeah, I'm definitely fully biased on that, but I think it's important.
Absolutely. I think, yeah, like being a guest at weddings, there's the thing you remember, and you remember if you were like left hungry for hours or they ran out of drinks, or, yeah, if the food was good, and they're not necessarily going to notice every little flower on the table, but they will remember the food for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what is married life like now? Do you feel like you had any of those post-wedding blues after your wedding?
No, I think, yeah, I think just being in the industry, not that our wedding felt like a job or like another wedding or, not at all. It's just, I think it's more that you're so used to everything and the process of it that I didn't really like mind not planning it anymore, because I kind of knew that that was always on the horizon for me to continue planning. It was really nice to be able to share my experiences and like knowledge onto like couples that were, meeting with me on like a, work basis. So that was super nice. And to be able to like really talk from experience of actually being married is super helpful, I think, to them too. Definitely no blues or anything.
Is there anything else you want to add? Yeah, even from the like catering side of things that you wish people knew, or what to look out for when they're trying to choose a caterer, which I feel like is, yeah, often one of the biggest portions of your budget and one of the most important things for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think I think what people with the catering, I think people get sort of caught up or initially scared about the price. But I think from our perspective, you kind of just have to go all in with everything, to figure out what people want. And a lot of the time, people either have a really clear idea or they don't know what they want. And I think that's kind of where we come in to help them, guide them through that process, because it is such an expensive portion and it does require, finer tuning and details and all that sort of stuff. And I think also trying to help people through that is important.
Yeah, so good. I think there's so many different ways you can do it, and a lot of people aren't necessarily doing a like sit down dinner, or they're doing yeah, more like family style, whatever you want to call it, or like walk and fork, and it is going to be like a big portion. I think it's not really something you can skimp on, or yeah, you just have to think about ways you can be clever with that, and whether it's having less guests so you save a bit of money there, or yeah, doing things in a different way to make it work for you. But yeah, it's such a big part of the day for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think, like you said earlier, like it is such an expensive part, but people do remember it. It's one thing that people do take away, but also it's not just the food, it's the service that you're providing from the inquiry, but then also, straight to the execution on the day, which is also, yeah, really important.
Do you feel like you had any felt any like pressure from working in the industry to make your wedding amazing or look a certain way, or from like social media and stuff, or you were just like whatever, knew what you wanted?
Oh, totally. I think like you always in the back of your mind are like, okay, people know this is what I do. I feel like it needs to be amazing. And look, I know it was amazing. Like, I still have people like letting us know that it was such an amazing day. And I think to keep getting that feedback, 3 years later is pretty cool. And I think there's so many trends and different like styles that people get so caught up on Instagram. Like, there's just constantly different things like being thrown at you that I think, yeah, just trying to kind of go with like your initial plan and what you sort of liked and what works with your venue or your surroundings, and then putting that trust into, your vendors as well, like your florist, and just sort of letting them do their thing.
Yeah, that's great advice. It's amazing. We have all these resources like Pinterest and Instagram and all the blogs and stuff, but yeah, it can feel quite like an overload or a lot of things that you see overseas that you might not necessarily be able to do. So sticking to like what represents you guys or your style and what you want. I keep throwing you extra questions, but
It's
there's
fine.
everything I have. Is there anything else you want to add as we wrap up?
I don't think so.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome.